Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, it's me, your host, Fearless Floyd. And hey, it's going to be a great weekend. All right. So, everybody look forward to that. There's a bunch of unsung heroes, the real people that are actually seeking the truth that you never hear about. One of those is Daryl Link. And Daryl has introduced me to, man, some quite remarkable people who are out there on the front lines, busting their ass, sacrificing their time, money, and energy, not just for themselves, but for the betterment of humanity, America, their community, their family, whatever. Um, I was just recently contacted by this guy, Lewis Ewing. I've never met him, don't really know much about him. And, he's shooting down Tanawa Downing and Jessica Saxton as being grifters, scammers out there, doing their thing, but they're, getting rich on their donations. And let me tell you, somebody who's toured in the rock industry, the concert industry, living out of a suitcase sucks. You've got to really adapt to it. And, you're at the mercy of whatever comes your way. So being out on the road and grifting is much different from being stationary and grifting. So, you know, whatever they're doing, they're at least addressing the people that need to be addressed, that need to be notified, that need to comprehend what the law actually says. And we need more of that because most of these government officials, these elected politicians, have no clue what the law says. Why? Because there's too many laws, way too many laws. It's just like Associate Justice Neil Gorsuch of the United States Supreme Court has clearly said everybody in America commits a federal felony every day. Yeah, what do you think about that? So, there's a lot going on. Daryl and his group have been working to get Tina Peters some type of remedy, whatever that looks like. Get her uncarcerated, get her out on bond, um, appeal, whatever. So Daryl sent me her information today, her court records, and I looked at them and I was like, "Wow, the I listen. I've read way over 100 indictments, probably close to 300 different indictments on the federal level, on the state of Texas level, and then various other states. I don't remember what all, but if somebody had a pending case in another state and they wanted me to look at it while I was a jailhouse lawyer, a writ writer in prison, I did. So I had to read that. I've read like 30-page federal indictments that read like a crazy ass, something like out of Breaking Bad condensed in 30 pages. Um, yeah, part of the, I'm not going to mention which gang, if you want to call them, a cartel here in Texas, in Mexico. But the vice president of that gang was in the cell next to me. So I got to have a lot of friendly conversations with the top dog because the president of that gang, he got kind of offed and buried in the backyard. Seriously, that was part of the indictment. So I've read a bunch of them. I know what they're supposed to say. I know legally what they are required to allege in those documents. Of course, there must be probable cause to lead to an arrest warrant or a complaint filed with the grand jury for adjudication to be billed, which is an indictment, true bill, or be no billed. Not an acquittal, but not enough evidence to indict or file an information. But we're talking about felonies here. So as I read these, and hang on, I got to take care of a little business over here. Let me email a couple people. compose and DLL and Kurt and all right. It's being emailed now. And there you go to both of you. I have Daryl on the phone as I do this. And where's my link? There we are. All right. So as I was reading these documents, I've never in my entire life seen something so atrocious. Overstatement is an understatement of what they have tried and attempted and done to Tina Peters. She has a co-defendant, and I asked Daryl about her, and nobody seems to know really what's going on with her. Tina Peters seems to be the main focus. So I always think about, what's up with the co-defendant? I mean, they're fall partners. So, people should be getting down for both of them, not just one. Don't leave the other one out because they're both charged with almost identical offenses. So tonight, I read this today. Probably, I don't know what time. We probably talked about 11 o'clock, I guess. And I was like, man, I'm going to do a show on this because I asked Daryl, I go, has anybody covered her record, gone through the arrest warrant, gone through the indictment and shown it to the world, what they've actually done and compare it to a normal indictment that would, so-and-so went into the Whataburger, pulled a .38 revolver, brandished it in front of the victim, blah, 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 and, stole $300 in cash and a number 3 combo, large with extra fries. That's not what this reads. It's crazy. It's insane. These people have lost their minds. And if they can do it to one of their own, just imagine what they're doing to the people that, are defenseless, penniless, can't afford a top-notch attorney, can't afford cash bonds. So whenever I hear about people, in the back channels trying to assist other people, I'm like, wow. If something ever happened to me, I pray to God that there's people like that would reach out and help me. And I'm always fearful, Fearless Floyd, being fearful, that if something did happen to me, that I would be abandoned because I was abandoned before when I got my 60-year sentence. Everybody abandoned me, okay, except my aunt, which when her family found out that she was corresponding and helping me, they cut her off. I still, to this day, cannot go see my aunt because of her family. Called them the day I got out. Click. It's like, I got disconnected. I called back. Don't ever call here again. Click. Okay. So I know what it is to be abandoned. When your wife leaves you, you lose everything you owned, ever inherited. Once upon a time, I had everything. I had a 4-bedroom house paid for. I had 2 BMWs sitting in the driveway, paid for. Had a Mercedes Roadster in the garage, paid for. Had a fucking shoebox full of cash under the bed. Had one of the hottest strippers in Houston, Texas. Had it made in the shade, folks, living the high life, and lost everything and went to prison and sat there for 14 years and 2 fucking months trying to get my ass out. And I failed because the system will not allow you to win. They will violate the law. They will violate the Constitution. They will violate their own rules and procedures. They will make shit up. They will lie for each other and don't even know why they're lying for each other. And they really just don't even have a dog in the fight. They're just lying because they're part of the team, that government entity. And I've seen this. I had Anita McCaskill, I believe was her last name, on my show. She was a clerk and she was doing foreclosures, illegal foreclosures with the sheriff. Knew that it wasn't right, but she had to go along with the team. Well, when she blew the whistle, ooh-wee, boy, did everybody turn on her, to the point where I had to take the videos off YouTube at her request because there were people sitting outside of her house 24/7, 365, following her, watching her. This is the system that we created, that we've allowed to metastasize into this parasitic, juvenile, delinquent bully that survives on fines, fees, and taxes that you produce. You'll always be a wage slave unless you get out of the matrix. Most people don't even have one scintilla of intelligence to be able to go, oh, that's how I get out of the matrix. Well, let me get on that right away. Everybody's just happy, dumbed down, programmed, institutionalized. It's sick. It's appalling. Everybody's all fantasized about Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton testifying before Congress. Did you really think that Hillary and Bill were going to come in there back to back and go, yes, I'm a satanic witch and warlock, and we cook babies and we eat them and we shoot adrenochrome like we drink, like Trump drinks Diet Coke, and we eat barbecued babies, and we have sex with all kind of children. We don't care what color. And we torture them to get more adrenochrome. Did you really think Bill and Hillary were going to come out and say that? Bill couldn't even, he had to go, he's a licensed bar attorney, and he does, what's the definition of is? Really? I did not have sex with that woman, even though my jizzle is all over her blue dress. Devil in the blue dress. And then he says, I don't have any, relationship with, Epstein, but yet there's a picture of him in a blue dress and high heels in a lounger. That's in Epstein's house in New York. Really? So people are all fantasized and enthralled with the whole Epstein thing. Okay. Listen, nobody's going to go down. And if they're due, they're going to be scapegoats. That's it. So you might as well just quit even watching that, paying attention to that. Listen. Okay. They're satanic, demonic, pedophilia. They fuck with kids every which way you can imagine that they're fucking with them. All right. They're all in on it and you're not. And they all protect each other. And then when you're going to fucking stick your nose in some business, they're going to chop it off, if not your head. And I've said this over and over and over again, and we'll get into it some more. But Trump wants to really help Tina Peters because Tina Peters was trying to get down and do the right thing. And maybe for Trump, I don't know her motivations. But all Trump has to do is order Pam Bondi to put her in the federal witness protection program, and boom, guess what? She's out of state custody. She's got a new life somewhere. But do you think Trump's going to do that? No. Because that's not how Trump rolls. Just look at who Trump is pardoning. If you go and look at that list, you'll be like, why is he pardoning these folks? That don't make any sense. Some of these are the biggest scammers around. Pardon, 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 pardon. I keep telling you folks, and that's why I lose my audience, because when I talk down about Trump, y'all bail and y'all don't want to come back because you don't want to hear the truth. You think that Donald Trump's a savior and he's come to save the world. He's not. He's bringing in the new world order, and he's going to make you accept it, want it, desire it, and you're going to get caught up in it. And when it happens, it's going to happen so quick, okay? And there's three things that are going to allow that to happen. National security. Oh, that's why we got glyphosate. It's a natural resource. We have to have it because national security. Disasters and catastrophes. Never let a good disaster go to waste. They always capitalize on the disasters. And then there's convenience. And that's where humanity will surrender their humanity for convenience. AI, robotics, whatever. You don't want to work? We'll put you on universal basic income and we'll manage your entire life. how you can spend that money, where you can spend that money, what you can spend that money on. Are you seeing the big picture, folks? I'm kind of giving you an outline of what reality is. Fuck all the bullshit, the fantasies, the hopium, all these intel people that have been telling you lie after lie after lie, and you guys keep parroting it, sharing it as fact. And by the time it goes through 20,000 of you, it's accepted as a natural fact. And it's 100% bullshit with just a modicum of truth in there. Just this little kernel, just enough to make you think, oh, wow, this could possibly be true. Now I'm going to change my beliefs because I really want the story to be true, because that person needs to be held accountable for what the claim is that they've done. This is where we're at today. We've allowed our governments to just go hog wild on us, and nobody cares. I just don't understand what the fuck the deal is. They canceled our Cinco de Mayo parade here in Houston, Texas today. Why? Because they're terrified ICE is going to come in and break it up and arrest people. Well, law and order. What happened to that? There is no law and order. There is no justice. The criminal justice system is just that, criminal. They're the criminals, and they're doing whatever they want to do. And they're not playing by the rules. And I posted this yesterday or day before yesterday in my videos. By the time somebody gets to the United States Supreme Court, the Supreme Court adjudicates less than 2% of everything that's filed in the United States Supreme Court per term. Yes, you heard me correctly. 2%, not 100%, not even 50%, not even a quarter, 25%, 2%. It's actually less. It's 1.6, I think, something like that. It's listen, back when this country was established in July 4th, 1776, 12 justices on the Supreme Court was probably, 9 justices on the Supreme Court was probably adequate. They could adjudicate everything thrown at them. But today, the population's increased 1,000-fold. So our court system, of course, is antiquated and outdated and needs to be scrapped in whole. Stephen Gladstone's talking about, hey, if you're in a secret society, cough it up, bro. You need to announce that to everybody so we know what your real agenda is, who you really took an oath of affirmation to. Don't get caught by the okie doke. These people are lying to you. When politicians open their mouth, there's an agenda. Do you have enough money to change their tone, change their temperament, change their narrative? I didn't think so. I don't either. That's why I've always said it takes us, we the people. Until we the people stand up to this bullshit, you're going to get more. You're going to get more cesspool cities. They still can't find out who killed 200 people and threw them in the bayous of Harris County, Texas since 2017. That's appalling. 250,000 reported cases. They just put them over here in another file because they didn't have anybody go investigate it. And then when they were discovered, well, we're going to investigate them. And then they said they might have gotten a dozen charges out of 250,000 police reports. That's a failed city, folks. That's what that looks like. Law enforcement cannot handle the crime, so they let the little shit go away. And until you stand up, until you decide you are tired of the bullshit, you're going to get more of it. You're going to get more of a surveillance state. You're going to get more spying, more of your data managed, sold, bought, traded, used against you, and don't think they won't. Everything is, you know, if your neighbor's got a Ring camera, guess what? Every time you leave your house, it's recording you. It knows when you're coming and going, who's coming and going, who comes to your front door, who walks by your house. They're using it to identify dogs, to find lost dogs. Oh, that's it, just dogs. Oh, they're spying on people, folks. Facial recognition, it's on. The surveillance state is here. They just haven't pulled the full trigger and given you a social credit score, put you on a digital currency, giving you a one world government, one world religion. And you better make sure that that one world religion is a religion that you can digest. Because what if you're a woman and they go to Islam? Ooh, you're shit out of luck. What if you're a little boy? I'm not going to say what they do to little boys in the Middle East, but yeah. They're trying to do that right here in Texas. They're trying to do it right here in America. That's why I think that Trump never, you know, the whole Biden-Trump thing, that was deliberate. That was set up. Biden would be so bad, so horrible, so terrible, so inept that you could run a brick against him and the brick would win, because the brick had to be better than somebody who was just totally incompetent. Couldn't finish a sentence in a paragraph. Couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. Doesn't even know which way the exit is on a stage. Exit stage left. So when Trump came in, hey, everybody would support him. Hey, do whatever you need to do, bro. And that's where we're at. And we got all these people over here in Q-Tard University that are just stuck on stupid. You got all the MAGA people that, you know, they're just diehard. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. Trump's the man. Well, hey, Donald, put Tina Peters in the Federal Witness Protection Program. That's an order from one of your constituents. See how far that goes. But that's where we're at, folks. Nobody's doing anything for anything. He's protecting all the pedophiles, all the Satanists, all the adrenochromers. Yeah, Department of Justice is trash. Kash Patel's trash. Dan Bongino's trash. I can't believe people are watching that fool. After the bitch shit he did, get up there and lie straight to your face. Oh, well, there's nothing in there. We read it. Blah, 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 blah. Right there was Kash Patel. Then he figured out, oh, man, they're going to kill my whole family if I talk about this shit. Because everything that I talked about before they put me as assistant director of the FBI, oh, that was just a bunch of bullshit. If I get in there, I'll do this. I know where all skeletons are. Blah, 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 blah. Damn, what happened to you, bro? Oh, you found out who's really running the show. And that's what happens. Just like RFK Jr., we're going to make America healthy again, right? You're going to, like, glyphosate? Really? How is that healthy? How is eating a chemical healthy? Name one chemical that's healthy. Right? It's insane. So, y'all ready to dive into Tina Peters' record and see just some astonishing verbiage of what these people have done to her? And if there's not a case that deserves somebody to be put in the Federal Witness Protection Program, it's this one, Tina Peters. Because when I show you this document and just the extremity of how they went to write all this out, to make a narrative. So if somebody in the public read it, they went, oh my God, she's such a horrible person. Can't believe she committed, what, 8, 9, 10 felonies? But we're going to go through it. And we're going to look for some affidavits, some probable cause. And you're going to see what's going on. You're going to see what it costs to buy this record, how insane these people are, how they're protecting themselves. And they really don't even know why, but they're all in it together. I don't see Kurt, Daryl.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I left a message I couldn't get through.
Okay.
But I could kind of touch a little bit on how what we did when I started with the FOIA, the Cora FOIA request back on November 24th, 2025, where I filed a Cora FOIA request, and I got a response back from I asked for 9 different items, and I got a response back from the Secretary of State on December 2nd. And they wanted $1,636,873 before they would consider releasing any of the information. And there was only 2 items on there that they otherwise they didn't have no records to those to the responses. And then again on 16th of December, I did another Cora FOIA request, and basically didn't get nothing back, but I got 12 corporate, or actually 13 corporate oaths of office that really weren't in compliance with Article 5 U.S.C. 3331 and 3332, which is really the required oath. But all in all, they still took an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And this is where they left the boundaries. And then, so the district attorney, they said before they started a quote, they would need at least $2,000 to start, and then later on, they said $10,000 would be sufficient to provide the information. So what we did through Ombudsman Mike, and he submitted 2 bills of exchange, one for $2 million made out to the Colorado Secretary of State, and another one for $25,000 made out to the Mesa County Clerk of Court. So they would provide the evidence that was requested. None of that has been fulfilled. So they never returned the instrument. They kept the instrument, but didn't provide any of the information that has been requested, which was really a breach of the agreement. And so I don't know what you call that. I guess it would be embezzlement. I don't know, but we've got an issue with the money, and we've got an issue with the concealment of the evidence that we were requested, because we know that they invest in the GSA bonds, and then the CRIS, the
Court Registry Information System.
Court Registry, Information Investment System.
Okay.
And all these cases we know are monetized and are basically traded and sold for a profit. And so on the 10th of January, I filed another Cora FOIA request. And then I didn't get nothing back on that either. So what I did is I filed a Brady demand, a disclosure demand on January 18th. Mm-hmm. And since it's a criminal case, they have to provide all the discovery evidence for free, and there's no charge. And so we got a response, but really didn't provide anything that was really what we was looking for. And then I filed another Brady disclosure demand on February 1st, 2026, and I never got a response at all. But all that information is up on the website of USAOrganicRepublic.com. It might not be all up yet, but it was sent out on the notices on the 17th and the 19th and on the 26th of February. So that's where you would look on the Republic Education calls, and you would go there, and in the template section, you would see all the documents that were submitted, mm-hmm. and all the emails it was sent to. I sent it to all the legislators here in Colorado, along with the governor, attorney general, secretary of state, the district attorneys, and all that. And all the emails, the proof of the emails. I got a lot of Damien failures back on the ones over Christmas, but I got several that acknowledged receipt of the documents, but have not reached out and asked, what can we do, or what should we do, or what can we do? Total silence. So they're basically condoning the very thing that was noticed of the concealment, and they're all really part of this program. So we went ahead, and I was asking for the probable cause affidavit. I was asking for the warrant. I was asking for the all the charging documents in the FOIAs. None of that was provided. So what I did here on the 20th of February, I submitted a request by email to the clerk of court and Brigham at the court, and this is what I wrote in the email. I said, please provide me with a copy of the signed affidavit of probable cause and exemplified warrant issued for the arrest of Tina Peters. Also provide a copy of the file stamped judicial judgment and order for sentencing of Tina Peters. Thank you in advance for fulfilling this request. And so I got a response back actually the same day. And it said that here's the cost breakdown for your request. 18 pages, 25 cents a page, $4.50. And the fee for exemplification is $20, so it'd be $24.50 total. And she said, I can have my research desk contact you for payment if you provide. Now, we just got done sending the clerk of court $25,000 for this year through the demands that were previously requested, but that wasn't good enough. And so I thought, well, that warrant should have been exemplified on the record already. So I wrote her back and I said, just send the 18 pages without the warrant being exemplified, because it was $25 fee just for it being exemplified, but that needed to be exemplified in the record without having it done with a charge. Because that exemplification, that means it has to have a raised seal by the judge and with a signature and a raised and a stamped, a file stamp copy by the clerk of court signed. And that's the way it would have to be into the record. And I figured, well, that should already be there, so I'll just pay for the $450. And so then on the 23rd, said, good morning, we need to contact you for the payment of $4.50. And so I submitted the payment for $4.50. And she said, here are your requested documents. An affidavit for probable cause does not exist, as this was a grand jury indictment. Now, in order for a warrant to exist, to be issued, a affidavit of probable cause has to be part of the record and needs to be attached to that warrant at the time of being served. So this is how it ended up. But all that's here is really color of law, and Floyd will go over a little bit of what transpired, but she did send me an 18-page indictment with it all redacted, the signatures and all that. And the charges were basically, attempt. A lot of attempts. There was like 5 were attempt to influence a public servant. And then there was and then the public servant's name was in there, but there was no affidavit to support any violation or any injury. So it's all an accusation, almost like a childhood, a little scrap. You took this here, or you accused me of this. It's like almost like a thought crime. So anyway, I'm
showing them an exemplified copy right now. This is what the front page of his exemplified copy. Behind this would be my judgment and sentence. But see right here, it's signed by the deputy district clerk, Marilyn Burgess, who's the district clerk. The judgment.
Let me see if I can get Kurt to come on.
Okay, go ahead.
Hang on.
And this is the judge of my court who signed it, exemplified it right here. And this is the exemplification of the district clerk. So it's signed by the district clerk and the state court judge. This is why I said when you do your name change decree and you get everything on there and you get a judge to sign that, and then you come back and get an exemplified copy, well, now you have your county and your state agreeing to everything that's on there. And when you send it off to the Secretary of State of the United States government to be exemplified there, now you have everybody in agreement of what the record actually says. So that's why you tell the judge when he asks you or she asks you, why do you want to change your name? It's to honor your mother, your father, your creator, and to correct the record. Granted, that's about how long a hearing takes here in Harris County. So that's what an exemplified copy looks like. I want to show you guys so you know. Let's get over here to Tina Peters stuff. I don't know where it went. I had it up. All right. Arrest warrant. All right. I had this up before. All right. District Court, Mesa County, State of Colorado, case number 22, CR. CR stands for criminal. If it was civil, it would be CV 371. 22 is the year. This is the number of criminal cases that have been filed in the 2022 term. That's how you read that number. 21st Judicial District, Office of the District Attorney / Agency case number 21-257. This was filed in combined court. I don't know what that means. Combined court, Mesa County Combined Court, March 9th, 2022. The people of the state of Colorado, to any peace officer that this warrant falls into their hands, they're looking for, whereas the court is satisfied that the Mesa County grand jury has found there is probable cause to believe that the person named in the indictment has committed the offenses of attempt to influence a public servant, felony of the 4th degree, attempt to influence a public servant, felony of the 4th degree, conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, gain a benefit, that would be a felony of the 6th degree, whatever that is, attempt to influence a public service, another felony of the 4th degree, number 5, criminal impersonation, cause liability, felony of the 6th degree. Number 6, conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, cause liability, another 6th degree felony. Number 7, identity theft, uses information to obtain a thing of value, 4th degree felony. Number 8, 1st degree official misconduct, misdemeanor of the 2nd degree. Number 9, violation of duty, misdemeanor. Number 10, failure to comply with requirements of the Secretary of State, another misdemeanor. I wonder what the requirements of Secretary of State are. Is that like following your oath of office? See how nasty these people are?
My understanding on that is that, she was told that she didn't have authority. If you read the explanation there at the end, after all the charges.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
That's kind of what it indicates. But she said, don't do this, and she did it, so that's a violation. That's kind of what it appears to be.
But yeah, the arrest warrant, they have they put a little picture on there, and her height, and it's a secret. Secret's out. Tina Peters weighs 125 pounds, and she was born in 1955. Poor woman. You know how women are. So, and bring them without unnecessary delay before the nearest available judge of the county or the district court. It is therefore ordered, that's a misspelling. It is therefore ordered that bond be set in the amount of, and originally it was no bond pending advisement. I don't know who would be the advisor. That was interlineated by the judge right here. And that's where you just put a single line through the text, you initial it and date it. That's a proper interlineation. That's what you call that. And it was on the next day, I guess, her bail was established at $500,000 cash only. And then here's the return of service, which apparently nobody completed, and that's the only 2 pages of this particular document. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 felonies, 3 misdemeanors. Damn. She's got more felonies than I do. All right. So let's see. That was her arrest warrant. And oh yeah, here's her. I don't really know. Sentence order. District Court, Mesa County, Colorado. Court address. I haven't read all these. This is the first time I'm reading this document. Court use only. Case number 2022 CR 0000371. The people of the state of Colorado. So it's the people. It's not the state who are the plaintiffs. So I wonder if she's
one of the people. So she's charging herself, apparently.
I don't know how you can play 2 roles. You can't be the plaintiff and the defendant. It's like you can't be the trustee and the beneficiary. This is how idiotic and insane this case is. As I go through it, I'm going to point stuff out to you just like that. And this is what somebody that is very knowledgeable in legal proceedings, how this should work. So it's real interesting that the people of the state of Colorado is in proper grammar. Tina Peters is Peters, comma, Tina Marie in all caps. So sentence order, defendant Peters, comma, Tina Marie. Number 1, the public servant attempt to influence. She pled not guilty. They found her guilty. That was a felony 4. To charge number 2, public servant attempt to influence. Let me blow this up a little bit for you guys. There we go. Whoops, a little too much. Yeah, that's what everybody told me when we were doing drugs. A little too much, Floyd. No, kidding. Not. Criminal impersonation, cause liability, felony 6. She pled not guilty. She was acquitted of that. So they found her guilty so far. 2 attempts to influence of public servants, which were 4th-degree felonies. She's found guilty. So she is 1 out of 3 so far. Charge number 4, public servant attempt to influence, another 4th-degree felony, pled not guilty. They found her guilty. Number 5, criminal impersonation, cause liability, felony 6, pled not guilty. She was acquitted. Number 6, same thing. Another 6, she pled not guilty, found guilty. Number 7, ID theft, uses info to obtain a benefit. The 4th-degree felony, pled not guilty. She was acquitted of that. Number 8, official misconduct. That was the misdemeanor 2, pled not guilty. She was guilty. Elections violation of duty, misdemeanor, pled not guilty, guilty. Failure to comply with Secretary of State requirements, misdemeanor, pled not guilty, guilty. So she was acquitted 3 of the 10 charges, guilty on all felony accounts, or not all of them, but most of them, and all the misdemeanors. So assessed fines and cost, victims assistant. This is just what? Holy shit. These greedy people. Assessed fines and cost. Fines, fees, and taxes. For count one, victim assistance fund, victim compensation fund, court cost, court security cash fund. I don't know what the hell that is. Genetic testing surcharge. Oh boy. Public defender accounts receivable, request for time to pay, restorative justice surcharge, felony fine, Department of Corrections 3.5 years, credit for time served 2 days. Isn't it strange how they put that in there under the fines and costs? You got credit for 2 days. I told you folks, this is all 100% a commercial proceeding operating under civil rules and procedure, masquerading as a criminal case. That's how devious the system has degraded to where you're being buffaloed. It doesn't matter if you're divorcing your spouse. Guess what? You decided you wanted to merge your two corporations, so you went down and asked permission from the county and state to do that. And they said, oh, okay, here's your marriage application, fill that out, and we'll get you a marriage certificate. You need to go get that done within the next 30 days, or it's denied by operational law after 30 days. So you go join your corporations, then you got to go back to the same people and go, oh man, we just fucked all up. Can you like settle the matter for us and decide who gets what? The kids, the dog, the assets. Are you going to keep the name? Are you going to give the name away? Yeah, that's where you're at. Count two, victim assistance fund, felony fine, Department of Corrections 3.5 years, credit for time served 2 days. Interesting they didn't tack on all this other bullshit. Count four, victim assistance fund, felony fine, Department of Corrections, same thing. Count six, same thing. Count eight, same thing, except the fines are reduced because they're misdemeanors. But apparently the victim assistance fund is well funded. And if you're not familiar with what the Victims Assistance Fund and Victims Compensation Funds are, those are funds usually set up by the Attorney General of the state or the District Attorney's Office to compensate victims who have had they're victims of criminal offense, whatever that looks like. So if your house got burglarized, a bunch of stuff got stolen, you didn't have insurance, you could make a claim through the Victims Compensation Fund. If you needed some type of assistance, legal assistance or healthcare assistance, psychologicals, that would be what that fund is for. So there you go. Let's scroll down a little bit more. And let's see, count 10. It's basically the same thing. Her fine was a little bit more here. Total cost adjudicated for fines, fees, taxes, court costs, all that other fine things they do in Colorado, $14,992.50. 50 cents. We got to get 50. Another condition of sentence. Barrett 9, Troll 9:31, DDA Drake, DDA Shapiro. Okay, these are all the, I guess, these are the advisors, I guess. Sentencing hearing, court hears arguments from character witnesses, victims, elected officials, attorneys, and the attorneys? And the defendant. I wonder if that was under oath. Judgment of conviction enters to the counts. Were acquitted at trial. Ouch. Not only is some of her stuff running what we call CC, concurrent, but she's got stuff running consecutive. So she's got to do count 1, which is running with count 4. Once she does that and completes that, whether she discharges it flat, which means she did all, 3.5 years, 3.5 years, or makes parole, then she would start on the next set of sentences, the consecutive, on count 2. Count 6 is consecutive. Okay. Count 8 consecutive, concurrent to 9 and what? Concurrent. Okay, that's the misdemeanors. 8, 9, and 10. Okay, that makes sense. Wow. No restitution is requested, no ordered. Well, that's what the Victim Compensation Fund and Victim Assistance Fund is. So anyway, yeah, so this is what we call a stacked sentence because she had so many felonies. They ran some CC where, basically one eats up the other, eliminates it. So you're just on doing that one count. But when they stack it, they're running it consecutive. You have to do one and then the next one. Sometimes people have state sentences and federal sentences, and they have to do their state sentence. And then if they make parole, boom, they get picked up by the BOP, the discharge at release, and taken straight into federal custody and do their federal time. If they're caught by the feds first, they'll do their fed time. And then once they're discharged on probation, they'll get kicked over into the state system and do their time there until they make parole. They will usually discharge their probation in the state penitentiary, awaiting release on the consecutive sentence. So that's the legal definition of what consecutive concurrent is and what she's facing. So basically she's doing 2 3.5-year sentences stacked. So she's going to do one, and then she's going to start on the next one. She can make parole and have early release, and then start on the next one. And then once she came up for parole on the next one, boom, they'd kick her out on actual parole. So how much time she has to do to come up for parole, I'm just not familiar with parole law in Colorado to tell you that. So my answer is I don't know. 7 years, if they really want to be assholes, they'll make her do 3.5 and then 3.5. Or they might make her do 3.5 and then do 3 in the last 6 months out on parole. It just depends on how the parole system works. Here in Texas, you have to do 50% of your remainder on parole on the streets, because if you get taken back on a parole violation, you lose your street time if you don't have 50% out here on the streets. So they may have something like that where they can keep taking their time. Texas, we call doing your time on the layaway plan. She shall participate in, cooperate, and comply with the above, including the following terms. So here come the terms and conditions from the court, not from the parole board. Protection order remains in effect. I have no idea what that is and who that's for. Pay all court fees and costs. Remanded into the custody of Mesa County Detention Facility. Must remain at the MCDF no less than 60 days from the date of sentencing due to appeal. Remain in custody pending transportation to DOC facility, Department of Corrections. DOC to be followed by 3 years of mandatory parole is required by statute. So, like I said, I haven't read their code of criminal procedure, so I don't really know. So maybe she has to do 3.5, and then once she gets out, she's got 3 years of parole period stacked on top. So 6 years. I don't know. I'd have to go look that up, but that's what that means. Let's see. Stay execution of sentence is denied. Bond is exonerated. Advised of appellate rights. Matthew David Barrett, the magistrate judge. Tina Peters, no signature here. So she looks like, she may have signed this. This is the contract. This is where they get you to commit, where, boom, you agree to all this. Here, sign right here. I need your right thumbprint. You're already in shock. And they just railroad you. So hopefully she didn't agree to the contract.
Well, this would come back off of the record, so I didn't know that it would be. Kurt's in the back room where he was.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm looking at the document. That's why. Hang on. Let me get over there. Yeah, there he is. Let me get that off there. And there he is. How you doing, my brother?
Still kicking.
Right.
Not as high as I used to, but you know. I sent you a document that I couldn't get this filed one sent to you, but I did send you a copy of it, and it was filed, and it forces them to release Tina Peters if you check your email. And it's a short one. I only did a 4-pager, and it's coming down to knowing the difference between singular and plural. Now, I learned it in first grade. I don't know, but this is what I lay on the judges. If you don't know the difference in singular and plural, you have an excuse. But if you do, you are directly violating Article 2, Sections 19 and 20 of the Colorado State Constitution.
Do you want me to show this, Kurt?
Yeah, put it out there. I served it on as an amicus brief to the Court of Appeals, and they ignored it. So I may have to go a different route. But it's so simple. They first, if you look at that warrant, they first said no bail. Did you see that?
No, I haven't read it yet. Hang on.
Well, yeah, you were reading it. It's that one you were just reading. It says no bail on it. And then they changed it and said,
oh yeah.
Cash only bail. Well, so originally she was arrested on a no bail warrant. That's only for capital offenses. So is she looking at life in prison or the death penalty on this case? Oh, neither. Right. So that's not a capital offense. You can't demand cash only bail or no bail unless it's a capital offense, unless it's robbery, rape, murder, stuff like that. So, that's not the case there. And also, if you look at that, who signed it? It wasn't a judge. I mean, I'm talking the one that you just had up.
Yeah, let me go with that one.
Oh, this one's a screwed up one. Sorry, but I'll send you better. But the one that you just went over, it says judge/magistrate. Well, do you know that magistrates have to have your permission to hear a case? Did you know that? Either tacit or otherwise. You know what that means? That means if you don't object, you give them tacit authority. So if you got a magistrate, magistrates and pro tems have to have your permission to hear the case. And if you don't object, you just gave him permission. And most people don't know to object.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And if you go to the bottom of it, it says judge/magistrate. That magistrate can't hear a case unless they have their permission to hear the case. I don't think she knew that was a magistrate in that case.
Probably not.
And also, no bond pending advisement. They crossed that out and wrote $500,000 cash only. That right there frees her. Because Article 2, Sections 19 says the state shall provide sufficient sureties, which last I checked is plural. Right?
Right.
And when they're demanding cash only, well, what is that? Only gives you the clue. Singular, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Article 2, Section 20 says the state cannot demand excessive or unauthorized bail.
Yeah, hang on. I'm going to get to it so everybody can follow along.
Yeah, under Article 2, Section 20 of the Colorado State Constitution, 19 says they can't demand cash only bail, and it says the state shall provide sufficient sureties, but may accept cash except for capital offenses. So the only time they can actually demand cash only is for a capital offense. And Article 2, Section 20 says the state cannot demand excessive or unauthorized bail.
There we go.
What's interesting, sorry about this one. This is the screwed up one, but it's got all the stuff on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But, it lays it out that they're not only violating Article 2, Sections 19 and 20, but the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and the 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution. So
explain people the 8th, how that applies.
Oh, it's in here.
Yeah, well, it's cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and excessive bail. Yeah.
Excessive bail. And Mesa County, I've done some research. See, when Trump was in Pueblo, he said that Jefferson County, Colorado was the most corrupt county in the United States. Now, I've been
Really?
Yeah, he said that in Pueblo. You can look that up. And I was like going, wow, I mean, that's saying something. I've been to Cook County, Illinois. I've been to, some of the bad ones. And so I started looking into it. I went to the courthouse and I said, I want to know who owns this courthouse. And the county auditor says, well, it's obviously the county. I said, great. Show me. He said, I'm not wasting my time. I said, no, you're wasting my time. If you don't want to show me, you can get a copy of your job description and we'll go over it together and you can show me where it's your option to deny me medical public record. How about that? He said, that's how we're going to play it. I go, that's exactly how we're going to play it. He goes, fine. He punches it up and he looks at it and he gets his eyes get real big and he goes, he turned white as a sheet. I mean, the color just instantly disappeared from his face. And he goes, oh my God, I've worked here for 15 years. I had no idea. I said, no idea what? He said, I had no idea this courthouse is owned by the Jefferson County Finance Corporation. I go, how about the jail, the sheriff's office, and the prosecutor's office? He punches him up and he goes, oh my God, yeah. The courthouse, the jail, the prosecutor's office, and the public defender's office are all owned by the Jefferson County Finance Corporation, which is owned by the Jefferson County Economic Development Corporation, I found out later. Now, when I got pulled over in Lakewood by a police officer who was going to charge me for not having a license, insurance, or registration, he said, I asked, one of the things I asked him was, do you know you work for a private corporation, right? He goes, yeah. I go, who you get a paycheck from? He goes, the Jefferson County Finance Corporation. That's who we work for. I go, you know that's a felony, right? He goes, no. I go, it is. How's that? I go, you can't have a private corporation that owns a municipal court, even much less a district court or a county court. That's illegal as hell under federal law. And he goes, well, I don't know anything about that. I go, well, you can use that as a defense, but I don't know if that's worked yet. Ignorance of the law? Yeah, maybe that's worked, especially for officers of the law, right? They don't need to know the law. So, yeah, they get a little shook up when you bring that stuff up to them. But
here's a good copy.
Yeah, it's a good. And when I got pulled over here last time, I got pulled over. First thing I asked him was, before we get started, officer, are you attempting to enforce traffic code in an unmarked police vehicle in violation of state and federal law? And he looks back at his car and goes, I guess so. I said, well, how many laws can you violate in order to enforce other laws? Can you violate 2 in order to enforce 1, or can you violate 1 in order to enforce 2? I'm not sure how that works. He goes, I'm not answering that question. I said, I didn't think you would. But I pointed out, that I asked him for his delegation of authority, and he didn't know what that was.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, what's that? And I go, well, if you don't have your delegation of authority, you're actually impersonating an officer under color of law and committing official misconduct. And I can actually arrest you right now. He goes, well, what is it? I go, well, when I woke up this morning, I couldn't find anywhere where it was my job to educate you in the law.
Right.
But you seem like a nice guy, so I'm going to tell you, it's your police ID. He goes, well, I have that back at home. I said, you left your authority back at home? If I were you, I'd go get it. I said, I'm going to let you go this time. I said, but go home and make yourself. I said, I don't want to place you under citizen's arrest, drag your supervisor down here and embarrass you. I said, but I said, I insist you write me a citation. He goes, you want me to write you a ticket? I go, I insist. Why do you want me to write you a ticket? I go, because I look forward to setting a case precedence in every ticket I can get. They just turned me over to collections. It's like, come on, I have a chance to, I have a right to go to court, right? No, not Westminster. But, you know, if people knew that, you know, most of the, I mean, if you watch the, you know, the show where they pull over people and give them speeding tickets, speeders, I think it is.
Oh, I have.
More than half of them are unmarked police vehicles. So, you know, I'd say a majority of the cops that people pull people over are pulling them over in an unmarked car, and that's against state and federal law. And all you got to do is go into your state law and do a word search for clearly marked police vehicles, and it comes up every time. Same with Title 49 of the Interstate Transportation Safety Act. You do a word search for clearly marked police vehicles, it says they must be in a clearly marked police vehicle in order to enforce traffic code. Well, very few of them are. And that gets kicked out right now.
I need to start taking pictures, because when I work at the George R. Brown Convention Center, there's a little substation at the very end of it, and kind of a third of the way in is where they store and repair all police bicycles. Yeah, I'm like walking by one day and I looked in there, there's like all these police bikes, and I was like, holy cow. And I looked on the door and it's got a HPD sticker on it. And I had no idea there was an end cap down there with a police substation. But all along the curb, the cops parked there to go in and take care of their business. So we see all these black cars. I saw a Toyota Camry the other day. I saw a black. I mean, all these are black, everything black.
Right. Yeah.
F Ford 150 crew cab. Of course, the Dodge Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
Tahoes. Yeah, they're all blacked out. I mean, you can't see anything on them, but you know they're cop cars because you sit there and you can look in the grill and see the lights because you're up close.
Right. I won't pull over for those guys. Seriously, when he tried to pull me over, I just did the O.J. Simpson, and until there was a marked car that got behind me, and then I pulled over immediately in a parking lot. I never pull over on the private, you know, I never pull over on a public right of way.
Right. Yeah.
Because and then when they give you shit, I say, hey, listen, man, I'm not going to pull over in a place that's dangerous for you or me, because I've seen too many cops get hit by a drunk standing on the side of the road trying to write a ticket, and it's not worth your life. So I'm going to find a safe place for you and me before I can pull over. What are they going to say about that?
Absolutely.
You know, but yeah, I think if you look at that brief, I mean, it's simple, it's short, and it's as simple as knowing the difference between singular and plural, and it's not one but two constitutional provisions they're violating. And
did you hear me and Daryl bring up the fact that she's one of the people of Colorado, so she can't be a plaintiff and a defendant?
Right, but they don't give a crap about that here. But what people don't realize is when I went to find out about Jefferson County, and found out that the cop for Lakewood told me, yeah, I work for Jefferson County. They're privately owned. All of Jefferson County is owned by the Jefferson County Finance Corporation, which is owned by the Jefferson County Economic Development Corporation, whose CEO is the CEO of XL Minnesota, Southern Energy. He's the CEO of 36 energy corporations in this country. They also own the county of Boulder, Gilpin, Douglas, Mesa, and now recently they just purchased Clear Creek out of bankruptcy. Because I went to the Clear Creek court and I said, I want to talk to the court trustee, and they said, well, I have to talk to the judge. She went to talk to the judge because we don't have one. I go, really? I need to see your insurance policy then. And she went to the judge and she goes, judge says we don't have one. I go, then I need to see your bond. She goes, we don't have one of those either. I go, what makes you think you can operate a court without a trustee or insurance policy or bond? That's a felony under federal law.
Yeah.
That's like operating a commercial semi-truck loaded full of explosives with no license, no insurance, no registration, and you can't read English.
Or an ATF permit to transport.
Yeah. So then they're like, well, Jefferson County has all that stuff now. I go, what do you mean? She goes, well, Jefferson County now owns Clear Creek. I said, let me guess. They bought Clear Creek out out of bankruptcy due to the Christian Glass case. The young gentleman that had a health crisis got stuck in a ditch, called for help. A bunch of cops showed up. One stood on his hood and shot him 8 times in the head. After, because he refused to get out of his car and he made a movement. And so, so they got sued. His parents were from England. They sued and got millions of dollars from Clear Creek. And one of the conditions is they had to have mental health crisis counselors to anybody who claimed to have a mental health crisis, and not a bunch of police officers. And so now Jefferson County bought Clear Creek out of bankruptcy, according to Clear Creek, and I believe. So now we have 6 counties in the state of 64 that don't have, well, no, only 5 right now. 5 counties out of 64 don't have a bond schedule. And you know what that's for? If you're charged with like 2nd or 3rd degree assault, you look up the bond schedule for that county, and it'll say that the maximum you can be charged is so much.
Yeah, 30,000 for
it's like
26, something like
4,000
that.
or 5,000 for a 3rd degree assault, and like up to 6,000 or something like that for 5,000 I think for a 2nd degree assault. But it's it's pretty set. And I had a guy call me from Mesa County, or not Mesa County. He called me from Mesa County. This is several years ago, back in 2019, I believe. And he said, hey, I have, I got charged on 5 charges, and they're demanding $250,000 cash only bail. And I said, well, look up those charges in the neighboring counties, because every neighboring county has a bond schedule. So he did, and he said the bond is maximum of $25,000 bondable, which means he'd have got out with, $2,500 in a title or deed to something worth of value. But no, they demanded $250,000 cash only. Now I sent him a copy of a brief I helped write for a young man named Kalenda in the he was in the Jefferson County Jail. And we filed a brief that was 20 pages short of a ream to the Supreme Court. And the reason it was so thick is because I found in 2009, Jefferson County paid $2.4 million to a private law firm to do a feasibility study on the use of cash-only bail. For $2.4 million, they got a 137-page study saying, well, it's illegal, unconstitutional, and you can only do it for capital offenses. So you shouldn't do it. That was in 2009. Let's see, when was she arrested?
22.
Yeah, some time later, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
They claim they didn't know about that study they paid $2.4 million for. So, and not only did Mr. Kalenda file a brief from jail because he was given $250,000 cash only bail, and the maximum he could have got was 90 days in jail because it was a first offense. And they gave that poor young man 2 years in prison and 4 years probation on a first offense, and $250,000 cash only bail. The guy makes $18 an hour flying drones over roofs for a roofing company, And so obviously they didn't want him out of jail. And he did have a record. He was charged and found guilty of fishing without a license when he was 15.
Ooh, man.
Yeah, and the problem with that is, can you get a license to fish at 15? Not any state. No state can give you a license to fish at 15. You don't need a license to fish at 15. Kids can fish in almost
fish for free.
Exactly. But because he was a big kid, they said, "Oh, you're obviously guilty." So he pled guilty, and that was his criminal record. And when I looked it up, the maximum they could have gave him was 90 days in jail. That kid got a year in prison, 2 years in prison, and 4 years probation. And his scumbag attorney, who pled him guilty, and he said, well, listen, if you plead guilty, I got a deal worked out where you only get 90 days work release, and your boss is saving your job for you, and it'll all be over. Well, he didn't tell him, oh, by the way, you're pleading guilty to a felony. Your boss can never hire you again, and you're not going to get 90 days work release, you're going to get 2 years in prison and 4 years probation on a first offense. They didn't tell him that, but he told him, no matter what the judge says, don't say anything. Why would he say that? Because he knew the deal was made. He didn't make the deal he told him. He made the deal that he got. The judge says, oh, yeah, we don't make no deals. 2 years in prison, 4 years probation on a first offense. And so yeah, I helped him do a brief. We found that study plus a few other things that really made cash only bail look bad in the state of Colorado. Filed it, gave the guy in Mesa County a copy of the brief and said, don't make it look like mine, but here you go.
Right.
2 people from two separate counties filed a case in the Supreme Court at the same time, and neither one of them got a response from the Attorney General or their respective prosecutor, and both of them got a one-word response from the Supreme Court. Denied.
Yeah.
Now, how is that a legal Supreme Court that denies constitutional issues based on super simple, what, you forgot what cash only bail and, how that's singular and the Constitution says plural, sureties. So, yeah, this one, they've totally ignored it. But my theory is we might have to do what I did into Washington. Here's a good question. Can the feds give the state of Colorado federal funding to violate federal law? Can they do that? Can they give them federal funding to violate their own constitution? No, they cannot. And so, in 1984 in Washington, before 1984, they were arresting people for no license, no insurance, no registration, and driving while license suspended. They would then impound their cars and take them to jail. Well, guess what a whole lot of other states are doing? Probably your state as well. Do they arrest people for no license, no insurance, or no registration?
No license, they can. No insurance. They usually write the ticket and let you go for some reason.
That's illegal because they can't arrest you. It's not an arrestable offense. It never has been under Title 49 of the Interstate Transportation Safety Act, which they adopt. They can't arrest you for no license. They can't arrest you for no insurance. They can't arrest you for no registration, and they can't arrest you for driving while license suspended. None of those are arrestable offenses under federal law that they adopted. And so in Washington, I tried to get them to pay attention to their own law, and they kind of said, oh, yeah, like we give a crap, in so many words. Mm-hmm. So I wrote the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, the GAO, the General Accounting Office, and the Inspector General of the state of Washington. And I said, gee, can you give federal funding to the state of Washington to violate federal law as a matter of policy? And here's how they're doing it. They're arresting people for no license, no insurance, no registration, and driving while license suspended. None of these are arrestable or impoundable offenses. And they not only arrest them, but they impound their cars, take them to jail, and oftentimes sell those cars at an auction. And sometimes those vehicles happen to be those people's only home.
Yeah. And
they don't give a rat's patoot. And I said, gee, can you give them federal funding to do that? And 2 weeks later, the Office of Management Budget, the GAO, the General Accounting Office, and the Inspector General their office came back and they said, well, after 2 weeks of serious consideration and investigation, we believe we cannot. And I'm like, well, that's kind of vague. What's that mean? Well, 2 weeks later, they had to have a special session of the legislature. And that's kind of funny, too, because I showed the letters to my friend Betty Howard, and she'd been fighting the IRS since it was the victory tax of World War II. And she goes, oh, this letter's great, but don't send it in right now. I go, well, why not? She goes, because the legislative session is still in session. She goes, if you wait 2 weeks, they'll be out of session. And then you send it I go, well, why would I do that? She goes, because then they'll they'll have to have a special session of the legislature to get their federal funding back. And watch how quick they do it. And boy, within 2 weeks, they had a special session of the legislature, and they held the Court Reform Act of 1984, and they decriminalized all traffic offenses that they were previously criminal. Well, Colorado's been doing this shit since before that, and they're still doing it. And not only them, but a whole lot of other states. You know, in Pennsylvania, if a cop pulls up behind you, runs your plate, and finds you're more than 2 months late on your insurance, he impounds your car and takes you to jail.
Wow.
Yeah. Pittsburgh, man. And I had a young gentleman who was in the Pittsburgh jail that got a hold of me. And he said, I got 3.5 years for three charges of driving without a license. I go, what? He goes, yeah, they gave me 3.5 years, and he was there for like 7 months. And so I sent him a brief, which he never got. And then his girlfriend got a hold of me, and I sent her the brief. She got it to him. And within 3 days, they gave him time served on his 3.5 year sentence for 7 months. And I told him, listen, I would normally charge an exorbitant amount for this, like $5,000. But I'm going to give it to you on one charge. Because what's that? I go, you got to make 100 copies and hand them out, and tell everybody you give a copy to they got to make a minimum of 10 copies and hand them out to people who need them. He said he figures over 7,400 people have gotten out of the Pittsburgh jail with my briefs.
Wow.
Because you think they want anybody to appeal them?
Right.
No.
Yeah, it'd be a bunch of non-published opinions.
Yeah, exactly. Nope, just let them go. This is not one of the droids we're looking for.
All right. Let me explain that to everybody what that means, a non-published opinion. The courts often will grant, or the appellate courts or superior courts will often grant relief. However, they will cite it as not for publication, a non-published opinion. That means that it gets published in the lawyer's edition, but not the public edition or the regular edition. And you cannot use it as an authority to, as an argument for whatever you're arguing. So basically, it's null and void for you to use, even though somebody used that particular claim and was granted relief. That's what that means. So basically, here's all the counts, and this is what a normal indictment would look like. It would have all the counts, and that's it. Against the peace and dignity of the state is how they finalize this in Texas. But yet, summary of relevant facts. So now they're starting to write the book, the narrative. And this is, I've never seen this on any kind of an indictment. The federal indictment I read for the gang leader that was in the cell next to me in Comal County, which is New Braunfels, for those of you who don't know. I was down there for Memorial Day weekend, tubing the Guadalupe, and got picked up day one and spent the whole summer in Comal County jail.
Damn.
Yeah.
What did they get you for?
Parole violation, but I got it reinstated, and it took 80 something days for it to get reinstated and them to kick me back out. I literally walked out of Comal County jail with whatever I had in my pocket. I forget it. I think I rode a bus home or something. I don't remember. But anyway, summary of relevant facts. And this is just telling you the whole story. None of this is a sworn statement. They even put the applicable Colorado election law and rules in here with definitions. You're never going to see this in an indictment.
Where's the affidavit of probable cause for the warrant?
Exactly, which doesn't exist. Well, at least we haven't seen them and been able to obtain them.
Well, I guarantee you they probably don't exist because they don't. Yeah, they are here. So, I mean, I've asked them, where's the affidavit? The what? I'm like, you're the head prosecutor and you don't know what an affidavit of probable cause is? Well, we don't use them here. Okay, well, we're in a private system, bro. They play things by their own rules, you know, and that's what Trump, I don't think, knows, that there are at least 5 and now 6 counties that are privately owned and operated, and that under federal law is a serious felony. You can't, and the problem with that is, if you try to go down to the National Archives of this country, say, I want the Constitution for, any one of the Western states, including Colorado, you won't find it.
Wow.
It doesn't exist. Now, if you go to their state archives, they're going to pull out a 45-page typed 8.5 by 11 Constitution. Now, you think they had typewriters in 1876, bro?
1876?
Yeah. When Constitution of Colorado was written. You think they had typewriters in 1876?
Maybe, but I doubt it.
No. Do you think they used them to type any Constitution in 1876? No. All constitutions for every state is handwritten on legal length, 9 by 19, 8.5, and not 8.5 by 11.
Right.
And so the only Constitution every one of these states can produce is an 8.5 by 11, 45-page typed document.
Wow.
And those don't exist anywhere in the National Archives or the Library of Congress, because I've looked. And the ones that do exist, it's very problematic for them. The one I found for Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, and the state of Lincoln, which is now Kansas and Nebraska, because they had the Kansas-Nebraska War and eliminated the state of Lincoln. But every one of these constitutions says that no politician can be reelected to any position whatsoever. Now think about that. Where would our Pelosi's be? Or Patty Murray's? Or 40-year, in the same office politicians?
Right.
They'd be gone. It also says no city, county, or state official can use their powers or authorities to enrich any corporation whatsoever. It doesn't say except municipal, county, or state corporations. It says any whatsoever. Another provision says corporate executives and their major controlling stockholders are to be held criminally liable for the actions of the corporation. Think about that one, bro.
Right.
Would this be the same world? Probably not.
Yeah.
And it also says no corporation can have a standing body of armed men. Well, what's the police force if they work for a corporation?
Right.
Last I checked, they're a standing body of armed men. So if they actually enforced, if we said, hey, these are the only ones we can find, and nowhere does yours exist anywhere in the District of Columbia, the National Archives, or the Library of Congress, how valid is your whole state system? It's a pretty good question, right?
Right.
And so if all you got is a 45-page, 8.5 by 11 typed Constitution, that is fake. That does not exist anywhere in the District of Columbia. And I spent time looking for it. But I found the real ones, and they are handwritten. They are 9 by 19, right around there. And they are on vellum. So, I'm not sure this will work. I mean, what this is. But this is what they did?
This is the indictment.
Oh, God, that is so bad. How is that supposed to work?
I just told everybody I've read probably 300 indictments in my life, if not more.
Wait a minute. Go back down just a little bit. See what her stamp says, bro? Read that stamp. My commission expires April 20th of 2022.
Wow.
Did she do this?
Nope.
What day did she do this?
On the 20th, the day it expired.
Oh, man. That right there voids it, bro.
That's null and void. Absolutely. Bing, 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 bing.
That's called void ab initio. Yes,
it is. Wow. Look what we just found.
Not to mention, and let's make it easy. how are they violating her constitutional, not one, but two of her constitutional rights under their state constitution and not committing perjury of their oath, official misconduct, contempt of Supreme Court?
Wow.
And I would like to see their answer if we filed a complaint against them. Now, I don't want to be the lone gunman here, but I don't mind looking into it.
Same thing there, April 20th. Ooh, Haley. So somebody needs to get her certificate of notary.
Well, what I would do is I'd file a distress on her bond, because all notaries are required to be bonded, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm thinking
on the 8th of March.
may have to file the 8th of March, yeah, just before her.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay, because they still arrested her on a warrant that didn't have an affidavit of probable cause.
Right.
And they arrested her on a no bail warrant, which is a clear violation of her constitutional rights. And then they amended it to a $500,000 cash only bail, which nobody could come up with that. And they knew that. And that's a clear violation. And that alone right there vacates the whole thing. We don't even have to get so complicated into going to the rest of their shit. We just have to go, how do you keep your federal funding and violate not one, but two of your constitutional provisions, not to mention the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and the 8th Amendment of the United States Constitution? And I think we can actually go to the OMB, the GAO, and the Colorado State Inspector General.
Well, here's the affidavit of probable cause right here. We're looking at it.
Right, 8. Yeah.
This one. And this is who did it.
Wait a minute. Where's the affidavit? Let me see. That's just the certification. Where's the affidavit?
There it is.
Go up over there.
Here's all the allegations. This big old long narrative.
Where does it say affidavit of probable cause? I didn't see it.
I don't know. We're going to get up here to the top. And here's the top of it.
Where do you see affidavit of probable cause, bro?
I don't see that. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
This is not it.
Just like this one.
This is the indictment.
I get that, but what they're doing is using this as the probable cause because it's sworn. Look,
can't do that.
Right. This is not a real indictment. That's not how indictment.
Yeah, there's no sworn affidavit to issue the warrant.
This is the district attorney's bullshit. This is their page two pages.
You know who issued? You know who issued?
Here it is right here.
You know who issued the first warrant, bro? You know who issued the first complaint? It wasn't the prosecutor for Mesa County. It was the Secretary of State, Janet Griswold.
Okay.
Who decided that only she could decide who votes for the president in this state. And they had to take her all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Because even the state Supreme Court said, oh, well, yeah, she can do that.
Right.
How stupid are you people? Since when is it the Secretary of State's job to decide who votes for the president of the United States in their state? She said, oh, he's guilty of insurrection and treason. And they're like, sorry, just because you say it so doesn't make it so. He's not guilty of anything close to insurrection or treason. And what I like to bring up is when they want to talk insurrection or treason, you know who Hickenlooper is?
Yes.
Former mayor of Denver, former governor.
Governor, yeah, I knew he was a governor. I didn't know he was a mayor.
So you know that when he was mayor, he flew to Canada and signed the International Compact contract in Canada. You know what that is? What is that? What is an international compact contract signed by a mayor, bro? A mayor. That is a treaty with a group, not one, but a group of foreign countries, including Canada. He had to fly to Canada to do it. Uh-oh, somebody's beeping.
That's somebody calling in.
And then it gets better. See, when he signed that international compact contract in Canada, he came back and he came back and he then made every code enforcement violation in the state under international code. So now Colorado enforces international code, which they've never published, promulgated, or made available for public inspection with finding guides as required by law.
Wow.
So then it gets better. When he became governor, he flew to Paris and signed the Paris Accord. Well, what's that? That's a treaty with a bunch of foreign countries, right?
Right.
Then when he came back, he shut down 2 coal plants and a coal mine within 2 days of getting back. So what governor can sign a treaty with a bunch of foreign countries and not commit insurrection or treason?
Apparently.
Do you know the answer to that one? Because I don't. And I'm not that dumb.
Well, Janet here's the attorneys for the people. So I don't know how she can represent.
Well, Jenna isn't the attorney for anything. She's the Secretary of State. She's
no. Janet Stansbury Drake right here. Special
special district attorney appointed by who?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Probably by Jenna Griswold, I'm thinking.
Oh, probably. Or, yeah, somebody.
That's a FOIA right there, man.
Who knows?
We're going to have to FOIA all the interoffice communications because that is a cash cow, bro. You ever heard of Arthur West?
No.
Well, you got to look up Arthur West out of Washington. Arthur West has set 9 state Supreme Court cases based on FOIA and 3 in the U.S. Supreme Court. And it's won every one of them.
Wow.
They had to have a special session of the Senate to cut Arthur a warrant for payment. You ever heard of that?
Wow.
You ever heard of a warrant for payment?
Warrant's a check.
It's not a check. It's a warrant. What do you do with a warrant? Can you go deposit it in the bank or cash it?
I've gotten one from the state of Texas. Yes.
And you cashed it?
Yes.
Where?
Deposited it at Wells Fargo.
Ooh, they committed a crime, bro. They committed a felony offense. That warrant cannot be deposited or cashed at any bank.
Yeah, hang on. I'll show it to you.
The time when they did that, both the bank and the state by allowing them to accept it, because the only place you can cash a warrant in any state is either at the Secretary of State or the county treasurer. And when I got an $87,000 warrant, you know what I did with it?
What's that?
I went to the Secretary of State and I said, I want this in lawful money. She goes, I don't know what that means. I go, you damn well do. I said, I want it in lawful money, face value. She goes, I can't do that. I go, this is not a check. This is a warrant for payment. And under warrants, you have to pay the person bearing this warrant on demand. And I demand it in gold or silver, face value coin. And I'll give you 2 weeks. I'll be back in 15 days, and I expect to have it ready.
There you go.
And guess what? I had to have a bunch of people help me load it up because I didn't realize how much that's a lot of coins, bro. $88,000 in silver dollars and half dollars. It's a lot of weight.
Shit, yeah, it is.
2 weeks later, they raided my house and took it all back.
Yep. Here it is right here. Warrant total, $66. Warrant number 142. That stands for Texas. That's their code.
Oh, man. You could have went down and said, I want it in lawful money. And you would have went to the Secretary of Treasury.
I can get another one. These are easy to get.
Oh, good. Then you go down to Secretary of Treasury and say, I want this in lawful money. This is not a check. This is a warrant for payment. I want it in silver or gold coin, whichever you got. I'm not.
Huh.
And most of the time they'll give you silver because that's what they got. But sometimes they'll give you gold depending on how much they owe you.
Wow.
Yeah.
They pay at spot price, or how do they do that? Or is it face value?
Dude, face value, bro.
Oh, shit.
So you're getting dollars for $1. You're getting 50-cent pieces for 50 cents. $37,000.
Tag their ass up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So
I can get these all freaking day long, bro.
How do you get these?
I'll tell you off air.
All right. Because, damn,
You
there's
off
the
there.
money making machine there, because they didn't, I didn't know what to do with it when I got it, and I started asking a friend of mine who was Jack Cohen, was like, he was a genius when it came to banking and stuff. He had a website called Tax Axe, and I lent him my 1939 IRS code book, and he beat the IRS so many times with that thing. When he walked into the IRS office with that, they would just close up their files and say, "We're done here. We're done." They wouldn't even talk to him, because he'd pull out a 1939 IRS code book that looked like a Bible, because it had marking, those tabs that, yeah, these are all tabs put in by me and my predecessor that I got it from. And what people don't realize is, in the very front of the 1939 IRS code book, it sets everybody free, because it says, on this date in 1939, I think it was in July, that the IRS code was ratified by Congress. Title 26 IRS code was ratified by Congress, and then it says in parentheses, without quorum.
Wow. Really?
What's that mean?
Not enough people to adjudicate it.
27 people voted in the IRS code. Now, back then, there was only 48 states. But was there only 27 legislators in 48 states? No.
Right.
And so on the same IRS code page, right in the front of that book, it says, 2 weeks later, on this date, when they reconvened Congress, it was repealed. And then it says, on this date, 2 weeks later, it was published. So what happens when you publish a repealed code? Does it give it force and effect?
No.
No, hell no. And then on the 54 IRS code, it says it was amended. This is an amendment of the 39 code that was repealed.
Amended a repealed code. Okay.
So, and in 86 or 84, they amended it again.
Wow.
So every time they amend it, it's a repealed code that they're amending. So I can prove the IRS code was never legally enforceable except in the District of Columbia, Guam, Puerto Rico, American Samoa, or the Virgin Islands. So only in the District of Columbia or the Federal Territories is the IRS code enforceable. I've beaten their ass on that one for decades, bro. They don't like me. They used to meet me with 4 guys at the front door of the IRS office, because the first time I went in there, they didn't know me from Adam, right? And they made me wait in line for like 2 hours.
Right.
There was 18 people ahead of me, right? 17 of them got their shit thrown out.
Wow.
And so they said, don't let this guy talk to anybody when he comes in that door. So they had 2 or 4 guys meet me. What can we do for you, Mr. Riggin? We don't need you talking to anybody. Well, we're going to expedite you right through the back. And they'd just take me in the back room, and because they found it was dangerous to let me wait in line.
Yeah.
Because I'll educate people. Hey,
yeah.
What are you here for?
Give them all kind of problems.
They're like, no, we can't have that guy here no more talking to anybody. So, but yeah, if people knew, and see, Trump, he doesn't realize that decades ago, I wrote out a card that I was handing out to waiters and waitresses, mostly waitresses, cute ones. And it said, this is a gift. This is not taxable, because gifts are not taxable under this statute under the IRS. And so this is not a tip, it is a gift. And so now I found one that was published. It was the same damn card I made, and it was published by the Libertarian Party. It was an advertisement for the Libertarian.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, this was good. But yeah, they were handing those out, to say, hey, you can be a libertarian, and this is what we believe in.
Was that under LaRue?
I'm not sure, because that was a few moons ago. But I still got some of those cards laying around.
Okay. Sounds like that probably would.
But yeah, all the waiters and waitresses.
Right. We're rolling up on 2 hours.
Oh.
Right. We're rolling up on 2 hours. I want to keep this short for everybody so they'll watch it.
We got to work on getting Tina out. And I think the best way to do it is to go after the federal funding of the Mesa County, and maybe there are other privately owned counties in the state. because there's no legal authority to have 5 or 6 privately owned counties in any state. And here we are.
Yeah,
and
that's
see, I don't know if Trump knows that. I know he knows they're corrupt, but does he know their whole court systems are privately owned? Does he know that their jails are privately owned, their prisons are privately owned? And get this, I found a contract that the jails have to keep the prisons 90% full.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
That's the commercialization of the penal system.
Criminal profiteering, racketeering, organized crime, and money laundering.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see this young man, Kalinda. They gave him the 2 years in prison, but his attorney, being a scumbag he is, because if he would have said, I want to go to DOC now, I want to go to prison, he would have got out in 90 days.
Wow.
They would have had to kick him in 90 days. But instead, his attorney goes, listen, if you work for Jefferson County, you only have to be here for a year. So he worked for Jefferson County 16 hours a day, 6 days a week for 14 months.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Put me in solitary, I'd say.
And they didn't pay him a dime.
Yeah, I know.
But see, the thing is, if you don't work for the kitchen, bro, you don't get enough to eat.
Yeah.
You don't get enough calories to survive. And, you know, he's a big dude. And so he had to work for the kitchen. He said, if I didn't, I'd have been starved, man, because they don't give you enough to eat. But if you're working in the kitchen, you can eat all you want.
Yep.
So, well, he was eating pretty good, but he said, and so now I'm telling him, listen, 2 years before they threw you in jail, they passed a law saying they can't use slave labor. And the year after that, they said the mandatory minimum wage is $12 an hour. So what's 16 hours a day, 6 days a week? That would be $18 for the first 8 hours, right?
Right.
And then $18 for the second 8 hours. No. Yeah. $12 for the first 8 hours, $18 for the second 8 hours because it's 9.5.
Right.
And then once you're over 40 hours, it's double time and a half, right? Well, 6 days a week, 16 hours a day. It don't take long to get over 40 hours. 3 days. Yeah. And so that's a lot of money they owe this guy. And they don't want nothing to do with talking to me about that. But I think it's probably a good time to bring up, hey, maybe you guys can explain how this all works. And the best way to do it, you ever heard of a Rule 27 under the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure?
No, I don't know.
27. Out of 28 attorneys I've asked, not one of them knows what it is.
Yeah.
Not one of them. They don't teach it in law school, bro. Under Rule 27 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, you have a right to do what's called
a what?
Action to perpetuate testimony.
That's funny. Your voice went out as soon as you said that.
Notice that. We do that all the time. And so
repeat it again.
Under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure, Rule 27, you can do an action to perpetuate testimony. It's not a lawsuit, which means they can't 12b6 you and throw it out for failure to state a claim for which relief may be granted, which they always do.
Right. Yeah. Frivolous and malicious.
And it allows you to subpoena them, depose them on camera, and videotape while you question them, and you can grill them like a cheeseburger. And boy, they don't like it. And nobody knows anything about it. Every attorney I've talked to goes, I've never heard of it. Well, I used it years ago against some IRS agents in Texas. I think I still got that brief. But what they did is they plowed down a guy's, he had a cactus, and succulent farm, basically. And he was really into his plants, and he was growing cacti for the Chiricahuas and some of the other tribes that happen to be medicine, peyote, right? And well, they took a problem with that, and the IRS seized $42,000 out of his bank account. They came in and plowed down his pressed steel gate and ran over a bunch of his shit and destroyed his fences and stuff, and charged him. And so I used the action to perpetuate testimony against 3 IRS agents that did this crap. They refunded $88,000 in his bank account. They didn't take that much out.
Wow.
Put a steel tubular gate in there that you can't run down with a truck like they did, and beefed up his fence for him and said, well, there's no controversy. They replaced all the plants they ran over and shit. They said, there's no controversy, so you can't subpoena our officers into court. I said, you want to bet?
Wow.
So then they went to Al. They said, Al, this guy's not going to live forever. If he dies, we're coming after you. And he's like, hey, man, they're right. You ain't going to live forever. And I don't want to be the guy.
Right.
So let's just drop it. He goes, I doubled my money. My gate's way nicer. My property's nicer. They fixed it up, man. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, dude. They came in and fixed it up pretty nice. I said, well, so we dropped it. But I could have thrown those 3 IRS agents in jail, and we could have changed the law in this country if he would have went for it. But, you know, I don't blame him. You know, he just wanted to raise his cacti and his succulents and be left alone. You know?
Yep.
But
yeah, it's all anybody wants. They don't want to, you know, continue create drama where there doesn't need to be any. They just, yeah, leave me alone and let me live my life.
Especially when you won already, you know. Said,
yeah, exactly.
I got all I want, and I wasn't going to even ask for twice what they took from me.
Yeah, double one.
He said they put $88,000 in it. They only took $42,000. You know?
Right.
And they said that's what we assess as the damages, and then they fixed all the damages. And they said, you know, I feel bad if we went after him. I said, well, all right. But so, you know, there are ways, and most people don't know anything about that, but that allows you to, and a lot of times they want an extraordinary situation for it. In my case, I'm the perfect guy because I'm a palliative in-home care patient. They figure he's not going to be alive very long. So that's a license for Rule 27. They can't say no.
Wow.
When that's the case, because you can say, hey, time is of the essence, man. This guy could go any day, and we want to make sure he gets made whole so he feels better and he can probably make himself better. Because if you got a whole bunch of money, you can probably afford to go down and get some stem cell treatments, can't you? Maybe.
Or you can do urine therapy.
Well, yeah, that's one way.
All right, let's wrap this up. Any closing websites, email address? There's people asking about who is this guy?
Courtroom Kung Fu, and they mess with it all the time. So I have I have an Indian right to travel brief on that Courtroom Kung Fu website, which says that all tribal members have a right to travel by vehicular means without a license, insurance, or registration because it's in their treaty. It's a treaty right to travel by vehicular means on the public roads. So if you're a tribal member, they cannot demand you have a license, insurance, or registration because it's in your treaty. And it's in our treaty. And in 1855 is when my treaty was signed, the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. And when I had Colorado Supreme Court come after me, I asked him a question. I said, where was Colorado in 1855? Nobody knew. It was Republic of Texas and Kansas Territory. Did you know Texas went all the way up to Wyoming?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's to the Republic of Texas organization. They want all that property back.
Hey, I'm down for that. They may still own it. But see, I mean, if what they got is fake and Republic of Texas has got something real, bro, who's got the real thing, you know? So, but I said, hey, you guys are Kansas Territory and Republic of Texas. My tribe was recognized in 1855. Our treaty was ratified by Congress, passed by the Senate, and signed into law by the president. And so if our tribe was recognized as a sovereign nation in 1855, how would Colorado have any say over us?
Right.
Because they weren't recognized until 1876, many years later. And their constitution is the one I found. And that makes everybody criminals. And they got a problem with that. I mean, they're scared. They really are. Because if you can't prove that all your laws are based on a constitution that doesn't exist anywhere in the District of Columbia or the Library of Congress or the National Archives, I find that a problem. I really do. And I think a lot of people should find that a problem because it's a fake constitution, right?
It's a fake state.
It's a corporate state. We have a hostile corporate takeover or corporate insurrection of America. And you know, and unfortunately, I'm the guy. I'm one of the lone gunmen that can say and prove it. And I actually have documents from the National Archives, which I'll send you some. I think I sent some to, I have the polling records for a lot of these states, and I have a constitution that's digitized for the state of Washington.
All right.
But,
apparently they're jacking with your site.
That figures. Yeah, they're constantly doing that shit. It was working just earlier today. Yeah, well, you know,
I have it in my tabs, so you know.
They're paying attention. So we'll fix that. We'll get it up and running. But but yeah, they are. You know, I have briefs that are good for right to travel for anybody that is not in commerce, because the only people that are required to have insurance in every one of the 50 states are people who are transporting passengers, commodities, or livestock for hire, or people who have been in an accident and were not financially responsible for the damage they did. Those are the ones required to have insurance by law.
We need to do a little quick show on that, just the right to travel and all your documents.
Yeah, I'll send you my no insurance required deal.
Anytime after Wednesday, I'm open.
Okay.
So put me in your schedule and I'll schedule it.
Cool.
All right. Chief Kurt Riggin, everybody, tribal attorney, and one of the unsung heroes that are working in the background every day to, you know, save this country, save your community, save you, and save other people. Kurt, thank you for everything. I really do appreciate it, man.
Wake people up, man, and say, you know what? We need to take our real government back and get rid of the corporate takeover and maybe throw those people where they need to be. I don't know. We could give. My theory is, give them what they earned and keep what they stole, and say, you know, let's see, you made this. How much? This is how we're going to keep in your bank account. What you made that year and that year and that year, and everything else, you don't really need it.
Yeah. Find out how it feels to not have a pension in retirement.
Exactly. You know?
Have your house taken away from you.
All right, brother.
Good. All right. Thank you very much, Kurt. Have a good night. Appreciate it. Thank you, Daryl, for yes, sir. Yeah.
Hey, if anybody wants to see any of the FOIA request or the bills of exchange that was paid to get the information, they could go to USAorganicrepublic.com. And Republic is spelled with a CK at the end. And the reason for that is that's the way it was spelled in 1755 in the Johnson's Dictionary when this country was formed. But there you'll find a FOIA request on November 24th, December 16th. Those instruments were put out at the end of December, and then another one on January 10th. And then there was two Brady requests. One was January 18th, and the other one was February 1st. So those are all available on, go to Republic Education Calls and go to February 17th, February 19th, and the 26th. And you'll find it under the templates, and I yield.
All right. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate it, man. And thank you for hooking me up with Kurt today and covering Tina Peters. And thank you for all your good work that you're doing for Tina and everybody else. I really do appreciate it for them.
Well, we need to work together and not be so divided.
Absolutely.
And return the country back to the constitutional republic it was intended to be, as it was guaranteed under Article 4, Section 4. I yield.
Yep. All right, Daryl. Thank you, brother. Y'all have a good night. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching, coming over here and spending your time, money, and energy with Fearless Floyd, my guest, honorable guest, Chief Kurt Riggin, and as well as Daryl Link. Man, two truly unsung heroes of this nation. You know, should be honored by Congress and the president, but you know, other things are in the way. So, everybody, have a safe and happy weekend. God bless you, and I'll see you when I see you. Be back with Kurt next week. We'll do a right to travel. So on your way out, hit that notification bell. So when that video is scheduled, you'll get notified and you come hang out, learn about the right to travel and indigenous Native American treaties and everything that applies to that. So thank you again. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.